In a rapidly expanding omniverse of sci-fi content, two Terrans try to make sense of it all. From the latest to the greatest to the most thought-provoking science fiction content on the screen, we bring you Crowded Space Podcast.
All right, here we go. We're doing it again. Welcome to episode 12. Blast from the Past, The Last Starfighter, the movie.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Let's go right in.
Oh, all right. Right into what did I think about
1984's,
So it's like a big hit on the screen. Actually, it wasn't a big hit, right?
No.
Didn't do so well in the box office. Something that is more of a, considered more of a cult hit. But also, obviously, it had big influence. If they made a Nintendo game about it later on, and even did apparently a musical of it. To my surprise, I'm like, we gotta fact check that. I don't believe that. That seems like
totally.
Yeah.
So we have what? We have the Alex Rogan, the boy wonder who.
Yeah.
Okay, who played video games at the. We call it. It's not really. It's like a little grocery store or something.
Yeah,
like that?
just the trailer
little
park.
Superette.
The trailer park. Yeah.
And he. And what it was about is the video game was kind of like a recruitment tool,
right?
To recruit him to the Star League, where he was going to save the universe. Which is kind of, I like that they use that sort of entrance of having like in the real world, and you have a kid who likes to play, a young adult who likes to play video games, and he's really good, and all of a sudden they need him to save the universe. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's really the best part about the whole movie, honestly, is that concept. And especially in the 80s.
In the 80s, it was awesome.
Every 14-year-old's freaking dream is like, oh man, all this time I'm spending on the video games could actually be...
Don't you remember that when you were a kid? Don't you remember watching this? I totally remember watching this.
Yeah, so I didn't remember a lot. And it was really just a couple of scenes that I remembered. And then obviously rewatching it, I had the, oh, wow, I remember that like freaking me out as a kid.
When he takes his face off in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, that jumped to the heck out of me. So
what was the guy's name again? What was
Centauri.
Centauri.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, I guess we hit most of the plot. Really, is just that down on his luck, essentially high schooler hoping to go off to college, and all he spends with his free time is helping out. The local trailer park community,
being a handyman,
and playing the Last Starfighter video game, sitting at the local store or whatever. So, and that he breaks the record, which, if you want to talk about sci-fi, that was actually the hardest part to believe in the entire show, is that when he's about to break the record on a video game, that like the whole trailer park
makes the way.
Like,
this Hollywood, man. The old ladies, young, old, they're all lining up. It didn't matter. It was like no discrimination, racial discrimination, nothing. Everybody was invited to come down and see, somebody break a record at the.
So with all of the spaceships and intergalactic war, I found that the hardest thing to believe in the entire movie.
That's true. I think that was the one thing that was. Oh my God, he's breaking the record! Quick, get Martha.
Yeah. So, to be brutally honest, what did I think about this? In hindsight, it really felt like it's a total popcorn movie just made to entertain 14-year-olds and the sorry parents that had to go to the movie with them. In terms of like lasting moral messages or allowing me to look at humanity under a different lens, thanks to a sci-fi setting, none of that really happened.
It really didn't have any sort of. Yeah, I mean, they had little things here and there, but not really anything that was, that caught the eye or made you to think twice. Like,
Yeah, and in terms of plot, I think what it did, other than that's really cool that the video games are recruiting for intergalactic war, and that obviously was really cool and resonated well with me. But yeah, other than that, that he was the kind of the reluctant hero. He was just an average guy. That was kind of new back then.
Yeah, it was
And that,
actually. Yeah.
and that when it, you could say honestly, there's a lot of parallels to Luke Skywalker's story, except for Luke was actually special with the Force, and this guy was special just because he played a lot of video games and honed his skills, which is cool. In that, more of an everyday hero. I think that was kind of what was new about this, which is okay. But but you don't need sci-fi. You don't need the sci-fi genre, I think, to have the everyday hero.
No,
either. So that's.
I think they wanted to tap into that whole Star Wars.
Oh, for sure.
Going on.
For me, there was a very, very Star Wars-esque moment when he wanted to go off with his friends or whatever, and his mom needed help.
Oh,
and he's
man.
like, but I was gonna go to Silver Lake to hang out with my girlfriend and get some power converters.
I was just gonna say that. What do you mean I have to go?
So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I couldn't.
Totally some parallels there.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think about it. What did you think about it?
It was kind of like a nostalgia moment for me because I remember watching it. Like we would rented it at the video store and we were watching it at our house, my parents and I, and it was it was very nostalgic because I remember making that ship in the leg. I had the Legos.
Oh wow,
okay,
shit,
dude. Yeah, I love the ship.
Yeah, you had a little bit more buy-in, I think, as a kid, especially being a little bit older.
Yeah,
too.
I was totally that crowd of toys and all that when I was young. And with Star Wars, I played with the figures and GI Joes, Transformers. I mean, I did it all. And when, of course, they didn't have any figures for the stuff, so I had to make I remember making the ship out of Legos because I thought the ship was super cool.
Okay. I'm so used to the imagination crushing kits that they have today, where it's like you can build anything you want, but you're supposed to build this. You're saying you built it from scratch.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no
I just
kit,
used Legos I had, and I kind of built how it looked. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
So did you have like a top nostalgia moment or something that you didn't?
I think when he goes to the first time he goes to the arrives at the space at the starport there, the star base, and he's walking around and
and carrying his uniform. I definitely.
And the aliens look awesome, man. They look so good for that day and age. They really did a good job.
In terms of does it hold up? Yeah, I actually thought that the alien costumes. I guess that was one of the first to do the stop motion animation on the alien costumes,
and all the ship scenes were like CGI. Like the first time they ever used it, they blew like 3/4 of their budget on CGI.
Yeah,
like 14. They were budgeted for 15 million, and they blew like $14 million on their CGI.
Right, and I'm sure back in '84. It looked awesome, but in terms of did it hold up? Oh man,
I don't know, man.
It didn't.
I don't know if you put She-Hulk right next to that. I think that
I'm just gonna take my glasses off to finish this.
Watch episode.
I'm gonna watch it in Blur-O-Vision, and it's okay, but yeah, a 4K screen with the
what do you think? This day and
the
age,
shoddy computer graphics that really stood out.
Wait till we watch Tron, man.
When he used his secret weapon and spun all around.
Oh, the Death Blossom.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
that's a cool name.
I hope it was called. I'm crossing my fingers. Maybe I should.
That was so cheesy and hard to watch. Now him moving around in the cockpit and having like the 3D thing, around, like that worked really well.
That was cool. Yeah.
Everything that wasn't the CGI, I thought held up pretty well in terms of effects.
Yeah.
But all the CGI and the space explosions were like, ooh, that's
that was the first time, man. Come on, it's not
I'm
like
just
Lucas.
In contrast, Black Hole, I thought the special effects held up pretty good, other than like the asteroids, because they weren't using CGI.
Were they? Yeah.
I don't think there's any CGI in Black Hole.
No.
So that's why I think the effects that they did use held up better.
But hey, what a cool way to use a DeLorean for the first time, man. That was the first time the DeLorean was used in sci-fi.
Okay.
Is that way before? Because the next year,
Yeah, Back to the Future came out a year later.
A year later,
when I was watching it, I
yeah.
had to look that up when I was watching it. I'm like, are they ripping off Back to the Future? I'm like, nope.
Because my wife was like, you could use that as one of those little facts of yours. That was the first time DeLorean. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I said,
was it a DeLorean though?
Yeah, it was.
Just they modded. It's a modded up.
You modded
DeLorean.
it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because just because it has a gold wing door doesn't make it DeLorean, but it did look very DeLorean-esque. Oh, that's funny that we both picked up on that.
Well, my wife picked it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess for me, one of the top nostalgia moments was right off the bat with the theme song. Like I hadn't heard that theme song. The music was good.
It was awesome.
Music was pretty good.
That was the best thing about it. Like I loved the music. It was so good. It was like that's what again, coming into Star Wars is obviously their music is the best. But
right.
Like, they wanted to be like, hey, look at our movie. Like
yeah, that they get together the whole orchestra essentially to do the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Paid off. So for me, that was like, oh, I totally forgot about this song, but I remember it now, and it's rocking. It's good. It really set the
tone
scene for everything.
And I like another thing I like too is like the android that they used to replace him.
It's a great idea. No, I like that.
That whole scene was great. Like,
yeah, I like that they kept the story going on back on Earth.
Yeah,
along with him. Trying to figure out if he wants to be a starfighter or not, and
yeah, I like that,
and all of that.
So, what about diversity? Was there? If we're going to go kind of into
just in terms of does it hold up?
Does it hold up in this current timeline, 2023?
I mean, at least they had a black guy in it. That's better than.
He had a lot of parts. He had a lot of speaking. I mean, even if he was just
and
the store owner, he kind of got everybody like, hey, he's breaking the record.
At least like the one man of color or person of color on there wasn't like the janitor. You know, it was like, hey, he's a store owner. He's but
he had some good
part of the richest person in the trailer park.
He had some feel good moments too, like
Hey everyone, he's going for the record. Come on. Like, no, never. No one cares. You would be like, shut up. I'm trying to sleep. It's a trailer park.
10 o'clock.
We shouldn't even have that
dirty video game
here, right? I feel, story-wise, really doesn't hold up in terms of she was a pretty one-dimensional damsel in distress. Like,
definitely.
Oh, what's happening to my boyfriend? And
that's it. Well, that was the 80s.
And then some of the tropes. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The 80s had a lot of that.
Right. And that's why it doesn't hold up because it reeks of the 80s.
Yeah.
The whole, we're hanging out on the beach and, hey, honey, those other girls didn't mean anything. And
what were you doing with that dude? Dropped you off. Where were you guys going?
Yeah. So, right. The female lead was pretty weak. And she was just there to be like the love interest. Her character really didn't go any
further, have anything
further than
solid.
That. Now, if they, brought her into the fold and
she's a starfighter with them,
right?
Dude,
she's
that
a
would have been
starfighter.
awesome.
She took over for the pilot, or did anything of any consequence whatsoever. I was gonna do some static. I know that's not this.
Well,
I have to bring it up.
It's our podcast.
One of like the first big reveals of the spaceship, and they're in in the high tech or whatever, and the president of the
bald people. They're all bald.
Standing in front of these two huge screens, and what do they put on them? Static. I'm like, oh, that's not very sci-fi. That's what I get on my TV in the 80s if it's not on channel 2, 5, or 7.
He's definitely was getting radiated there by the radiation.
Waveforms or some bouncing, like they could have put anything on there. I'm like, why are there two big screens with nothing but static on them? It doesn't look cool. It doesn't look futuristic. It looks like someone forgot to put the change the channel back to 5 after playing video games. So. Yeah, I guess the other thing that this gets a little bit of credit for is that Centauri was not your typical mentor. He's kind of a sleazeball, right?
Yeah. He was quite a I guess that was his last role. I mean, I guess he died of cancer, lung cancer.
I was watching some of the outtakes, and he's like, I'm like, oh, that's his death knell right there. You can tell.
But the guy it was good. He was really good. I could see why he was like.
I can see why he was cast at that. He's super charismatic, and
they have Sir Alec Guinness in Star Wars, so.
yeah, I'm sure that was part of the casting consideration there.
Yeah.
But that, he's essentially he set up this whole system to get paid. He wasn't.
Yeah.
He had one quote he had that one quote. I'm for the greater good, and it doesn't hurt to die rich, or something like that. Yeah, but I was like, you still
he was a mix of
illegally
Lando and Han Solo, man. They had to have that role.
the Centauri.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely got some Lando vibes.
You're all clear, kid. Go get him.
Yeah, I'm staying right here. But you go and kill some people or whatnot. Essentially, ahead of the Last Starfighter influence, like modern sci-fi. Was there anything?
I think like you mentioned earlier that it brought back the like the boyhood man type of thing in the real world. You know what I mean? Like the boy's like playing video games and he's becoming a starfighter and he's like going to he's traveling and to other places. So it had that whole like wanderlust of a teenager that wants to make his mark in the world type of thing. And I think with Luke, going back to Star Wars, it's like its own kind of dimension. And here it's like it's in the real world, but there's still that spacey sci-fi out there that he's gonna save the universe. You know what I mean? By just playing video games or whatever. And I'm sure that really, it caught my attention, and I'm sure it caught yours, and most of the people that kind of listen to us. They probably got, oh my gosh, that's so cool. What if, man, I wish I could be that, I could be him, or, That's where I think it kind of resonates with the sci-fi world. Because after that, a year later, you had Marty McFly, Back to the Future, which is kind of like the same type of style where he's just a normal kid, and then he's, he gets to be like, in the front and not just, recording the old crazy scientist.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I forget he was recording the whole thing. It was his initial involvement in it.
So it kind of makes like, hey, the average guy can be the person that's like in the forefront and save the universe or save the timeline or save whatever. So it kind of opened those doors for that.
And what about the Navigator?
Star Navigator First Class Grig, at your service, sir.
What did you think of him? We haven't really talked anything about that character.
I think that I love the makeup. Like the makeup, all the aliens in this movie and being in the 80s was really good. Like I really thought it did a good job with it.
Yeah, the costumes never took me out of the movie. The
you watch Mando, and it's like some of the costumes in Mando, aliens look like, they could be comparable to the Last Starfighter.
Yeah, because I did like he was kind of like a space turtle, the little shell head cap or whatever, and the reptilian skin or whatever is
that's
weird
right. And
little
then you had that. Yeah, then
laugh.
you had like the squid. One of the pilots was a squid. Remember, he stepped on his foot or whatever.
Tentacle.
I didn't mean to step on your, whatever that is.
This tentacle. Like I said, they definitely went and they jumped off from the Star Wars thing and tried to form their own type of universe from it.
Yeah, I got to give them credit for not leaning too heavily on Star Wars.
They could have easily done it. Look, it's
tropes.
This day and age, dude. That's all they do now.
Even Disney can't get away from
a good
using
movie
Star
comes
Wars.
out and it's all, let's follow suit with something else.
Though there were a couple of lazy costumes in there, especially when they were doing the debriefing of the Starfighter pilots. Yeah, they had some really cool tentacled ones and whatever, but they also just had guys with like blue nylon stocking on their face. It's like, we'll figure something out. They're like,
ran out of money,
no,
man.
we're filming today. Just put the sock on and get out there. Don't worry, you don't have any.
But they're used, man. I don't want to put that on my face.
Yeah, this one smells funny. I don't care what you smell. You get in there.
You want to get paid today? Get over there.
The other part was when they had to fix the pilot essentially had to fix the ship at one point.
Yeah.
and it's just like a Radio Shack board with obviously the 9-volt connection hanging out there. I'm like, okay, you could have
We
at
got
least
that at Radio Shack for $10.
You could have at least spray painted it gold or silver or something, right? And maybe cut off the connector to the 9-volt. Like, how many people in the 80s had actually seen a circuit board? Circuit boards, I guess we take for granted today.
Yeah.
So
that was you
maybe,
could get those little kits at Radio. Yeah, totally could get those toy kits.
But for me, I'm like, you guys could have come up with something a little bit better for
the budget was that was a part of the cut budget.
Yeah, did you have any like moments that you thought were at least really funny? Because that's one of the things. This was meant to be, sci-fi for everyone.
Yeah, I like you said, the pilot was like, well, hey, you want to save the universe or not? Brought him back. Hey, come back to being a starfighter pilot and not like worrying about going to the beach.
Yeah. Do you want to die for some people that you don't care about?
That guy with the cowboy
didn't even
hat.
know you existed.
Yeah, exactly.
In a war that has nothing to do with you, or do you want to go back to being trailer trash, kid? I'm not gonna make your choice.
Want to be a hero? I mean, see you, Mom. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like all this focus on his girlfriend. Like he barely says goodbye to his mom.
Yeah, he doesn't even. And his brother.
He's totally snubs his brother.
Yeah.
Sorry, Squirt.
I'm like,
totally gone. Like
I'm just gonna leave Earth for maybe ever.
Yeah, I'll never see you again. But then the girlfriend's like to grandma, like she was all worried about the grandma the whole time. And then it's like, oh yeah, see you later, grandma. I'm gonna go in outer space with my
grandma
boyfriend.
gave her permission. She's like, that's fine.
I'm gonna die tomorrow. You can
Yeah,
go.
yeah, exactly.
They're gonna reboot me.
It's fine. I'll die alone. Go
They're gonna
on.
be rebooting me here pretty soon.
Go get some space cock. I'll die alone.
Oh,
don't mind me. Don't want to be a bother. You've got some war that has nothing to do with you to fight in.
What are you gonna do up there?
Yeah, you could modern retelling of this is that he's essentially fucking kidnapped, right? He's stolen from his home planet to fight in a war that's nothing to do with him, right?
Pretty much.
And then
That's the twist.
and then they screw around with him psychologically to guilt trip him into actually fighting the battle.
They have see like Agent Orange, and then the eyes open. You're gonna be fighting this war. Yes, you are. Okay. And lastly, we're gonna talk about the old grandma reboot that they're thinking about rebooting this.
Honestly,
It says right here.
no,
Steven Spielberg.
that there are rumblings.
There are rumblings.
There
I mean,
are.
our intern really worked hard to get this on paper, man.
Well, yeah. Well, so what do you know about it? What are the rumblings?
They said it was in 2008 that Spielberg expressed interest in directing a sequel, but because the film's were kind of is in in Neverland
Yeah,
complications.
when Universal blew up and the vultures picked on the bones, it's not clear.
So
who
then,
got what
in
properties?
2020, the rights were secured and the script was written. So it's going to be a combination of a reboot, Look Out, Grandma, and a sequel that honors its legacy.
Maybe it's just the lack of sleep. On this rewatch, I was like, okay, it's got some nostalgia.
It does.
There's not.
Is it built for
There's not a lot of depth here.
Yeah, there isn't.
I would not recommend it to anyone. That's why I don't think a reboot is going to work.
No.
Because the premise has been done a lot since then. There's nothing new about the premise anymore.
No.
And I think the only real reason anyone would watch this is through nostalgia. And if it's nostalgia, just go watch the first one. I'm just hard pressed to believe that a 14-year-old boy today or female, because luckily there's more female gamers. That I'm hard pressed to believe that a modern gamer is going to give a crap about the Last Starfighter. So they're going to have to really revamp it. Even though I could see look, these two humans went to space and they've had their kids and we can see where they are now. And maybe she's come into her own, the girlfriend's now an actual person with
she's a senator
skills and
in the galactic in the space senate.
In the space senate. Yeah. So I'm not rushing to go see it. Again, it was nice watching Last Starfighter just to see what did I remember.
Yeah.
Lifted up the sheets on Beta when he was mid-transformation and his face was bloating. I remember that being terrifying.
That was kind of scary there too. I remember that. But I was like, wow, that looks kind of cool now. I thought it was a good special effects for sure.
Yeah, because it wasn't CGI. Moving forward is...
I think if you want a nostalgia and you want to live in your childhood like you did when you first watched it, I think it's one of those movies that if it's raining or snowing wherever you live, you should watch it. If you want to watch it for nostalgia, if you watched it before, go for it. If you haven't watched it and you want to watch something in the 80s, hey, you can go for it there too. But in the end, it's really not going to change. It's not going to change your life.
So with that, signing off, I'm your other host, Jarod.
I'm your host, Eric.
And remember, it's not the journey.
It's the destination.
Yeah, see you soon.